Fox, it's time. The Grin Candle Cup. Registration is
I'll
life.
call you back.
Incredible. Hi, everybody who's watching today. I'm excited to be here and chat through the trading competition Green Candle Cup. This is something we've been working on for a few weeks now and are excited to bring it to everybody, especially because there's $50,000 worth of prizes involved. I have a few legends on the call with me today, but first, what I want to do is go through a few of the mechanics of this Green Candle Cup that I think you've all seen on Twitter by now. Let me go ahead and share my screen. I'll go through that and then we will go ahead and do some intros and get started with this live stream today. All right, here we go. Okay, so we've got the actual competition starting in about 5 days. Right now, you can go ahead and register. There's some demo videos if you need help walking through the registration and onboarding. We also have a few support channels for community announcements through Telegram and also support through Telegram as well. As mentioned before, we have about $50,000 in prizes. This is going to be a 7-day trading competition on Solana using Phoenix. All of our sponsors here, of course, Double Zero Edge. My name is Hall. I am with Double Zero, Solana Foundation, and their program, Frontier Traders, are another sponsor, as well as Triton One and Phoenix. So excited to dig into that soon. But you can see we have two categories for prizes here, volume-based and P&L based. We'll of course have leaderboards throughout the entire competition, but first, to get on that leaderboard, you're going to need to register. And again, we have some awesome documentation to walk you through registration and onboarding as well. A few key dates, obviously, you're here, you're at the live stream. This is going to be watchable and recorded. If you're not able to make the whole thing today, we will post it and you can watch it again at a later time. But tomorrow we do have office hours. Those will be recorded as well, but feel free to jump in. I know Triton One is going to be on that call, offering support, talking through their product, and we'll have a few folks from our end as well here at Double Zero. The trading competition begins on September 1st. Again, it's a 7-day trading competition, lots of prizes available, lots of support throughout the entire competition as well. If you've been looking to get into trading at I think a deeper level, this is the opportunity and this is the time. And we'll have some more office hours throughout the competition as well. You can add those to your calendar, and then we will close that competition out on September 8th. So we're extremely excited about this. We're going to be offering opportunities to engage in many different ways. So stay tuned, follow us all on Twitter, and we will ensure that you are up and running for this competition. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing now and take us back over to our guests. Like I said, the legends. So on the call today, we have my boss and my former colleague from when we both worked at Solana together, Austin Federa, CEO and co-founder of Double Zero. We've also got Brian Long, co-founder of Triton One, and then Seraphim, who is in charge of special situations at Solana Foundation. Again, my name is Hall. I work at Double Zero, employee number 13. But real quick, before we jump into today's agenda about talking about not only the competition, but really why what we're offering throughout this competition matters to trading, crypto trading, and the future of trading on Solana, I want to have our different guests give a quick introduction of who they are and the company they work for, and then we'll go ahead and get into those questions. So, Austin, I'm going to kick it over to you first.
Sure, thanks, Al. So I'm Austin Federa. I'm one of the 3 co-founders of Double Zero. I spent the previous 4 years working for Solana Foundation and Solana Labs, running all sorts of things over there. Ended up running strategy for the last 2.5 years there. So Double Zero, what is it? It's a high-performance global blockchain. but it doesn't focus on compute. This is not like a place like Solana where you deploy and run smart contracts. It's entirely focused on high speed data movement. And so, what we offer folks are faster data feeds for all sorts of things, from centralized exchanges like Kalshi Data to feeds about what's going on blockchains like Solana. And so, if you are a trader, you want the most complete view of the information that you can get, and you want it as fast as possible. And this is an area where crypto has historically lagged behind. It's hard to consume all the data, it's hard to consume it in real time. And so Double Zero works with validators to source the most up to date data on what's going on the Solana blockchain, the shreds that actually come in. And then we provide decoded and non decoded feeds to users to assist in mostly trading.
Awesome. Thank you, Austin. Yes, it is the name of the game for, I think, all of us here, especially you, Brian. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you and Triton One?
Sure, yeah. So, very happily, I've had the opportunity to see Solana from the beginning, even before testnet. I helped volunteer to run validator nodes when we were doing dry runs of the network. Then, as a validator, helped bring up both testnet and mainnet. Shortly thereafter, after mainnet came up, along with two other co-founders, we founded Triton One and took over the mainnet RPCs and have focused on high performance RPC primarily for the DeFi space. We're very proud to support many of the top tier teams in Solana DeFi, including Ellipsis and Phoenix, one of the sponsors of the event. So look very forward to talking to everybody about high performance RPC and then also automated trading. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. And I know you mentioned you're a Solana OG. Speaking of Solana, we've got Seraphim, my newest friend in the Solana ecosystem. Love the memes that we send and the photos we send back and forth on Telegram. But why don't you tell the people about what you're up to at Solana and yeah, maybe a little bit about your background.
Sure. Well, actually, I started out at Ethereum. I worked within the Ethereum ecosystem for like 5 years. I did grow for Lido and for Ethena. And I realized at some point that Solana is the only foundation that actually knows what it's doing. It actually focuses on the right things, which is trading. And that's quite different from most foundations who are absolutely useless. And I joined about 6 months ago. And I think it's been really fun so far. There's a lot of talk about trading. And I think we actually implemented something cool. Ramsey's been leading a whole frontier trading initiative where we organize campaigns such as this, where we allocate a budget, people trade, we incentivize trading in new markets like stocks on Solana, for example. But there'll be many more than that. The reason I'm here is because trading's fun and Solana's kind of leading it, and it's really great to be at the forefront. If you're at the forefront, you always kind of end up in a good place, I think.
Yeah, awesome. Well, we're excited to be a part of this with the rest of the sponsors as well. And I think with that, like we've gotten a good setup, a good foundation of why everybody's participating in this. But I do have some questions for us to go a little bit deeper now. So Austin, obviously I'm going to go to you first, my boss, my comrade. And I think some of the things you spoke about in your intro was speed and data access, and really those, I think what you've described before is those are like a moat that only TradFi could afford in the past. And so I think with Double Zero's network, I want to understand, and I want folks on this live stream to understand how the Double Zero network closes that gap for people.
Yeah, so if you think about the traditional financial market, there's a few advantages that they have over decentralized markets, the main one being they're centralized. So it's very easy if you are trying to be a trader on New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ or Binance or something like that, or Coinbase, to locate your trade server physically near the matching engine, because there's only one matching engine. It's a fully centralized system. And this is the way that like the speed races in traditional finance ran. It was, okay, can we get our trade servers closer and closer to the servers of the matching engine? But as many people know, like arbitrage is often the name of the game in high frequency trading. So you have data you have to move all around the world. And in the traditional financial space, there's so much money to be made in trading. right? Just the data operation side is a $49 billion a year business, just moving market data around, not actually trading, just literally moving the data. That's a $49 billion business. In crypto today, we don't have anything like that besides Double Zero. And so what Double Zero uses is it uses physical fiber, so dedicated physical infrastructure. These are basically, you can think of it as a giant private fiber network, as opposed to being run by one company, though. It's run by 15 independent contributors who all contribute fiber to the Double Zero network. Now, we can use this for many different things. So 63% of all Solana validators by stake weight actually run on the Double Zero network. So instead of transmitting their data out over the public internet to reach consensus and vote and broadcast to Turbine and all this stuff, they actually broadcast that via the Double Zero network. And of course, if Double Zero goes down, they just fail back over to the public internet and use that. But one of the other pieces we can do with this is really relevant to traders, which is broadcast market data as well. So because we're connected into all these validators, we get the first look at what that data is. And then that's sent out to all the subscribers to the Double Zero network. And so it's a much more complete and it's a much faster view of how markets are changing on Solana as well. We do the exact same thing with Kalshi. So you can get, you can watch every market in sports and crypto perps on Kalshi in real time, and trade based on that information, whether it's hooking it up to your AI agent or not. And the same thing obviously with Phoenix as well, which is like an incredible perps product now on Solana, in addition to all the other great dexes that exist on Solana. So if you are trying to get the latest view of all these different markets, what's going on JTX, what's going on Phoenix, what's going on Jupiter, what's going on Titan, all these different places, the way you need to do that is you need to consume all of the block data on Solana. You need to decode it, and you need to be able to watch in these markets to trade. And so we provide you the raw materials to do that. There are other folks in the space, and Triton's a great example of it, where you can get and Brian will obviously talk a bunch about this. They're giving you a sort of more human readable feed that comes out of it. And what Double Zero is really focused on is the fastest delivery of the raw data to power your trading systems or your RPC systems.
And then, Austin, I've got a question for you. I'll kind of put you on the spot, but it's okay to give round numbers. Okay, so we don't need millisecond precision. But many people who have been trading and have been really in deep into Solana, they understand about the latency problem between Tokyo and Frankfurt. And and for people who don't really understand that there's issues with the public internet lines that go from Tokyo into Europe, and latencies can be quite high. So you might maybe expand a bit and say how Double Zero makes that particular connection faster.
Yeah, definitely. So the public internet, incredible resource, incredible service. For $40 a month, you can get basically unlimited data, and you can talk to anyone anywhere in the world. Like we would not have blockchain without it, right? We would not have a lot of things without the public internet. But the public internet was never built for performance. It was built for cost optimization. And so if you were trying to get from Tokyo to Central Europe, you can think about that's actually pretty far. It's not just, we've all taken a long flight before, but it's pretty far over a lot of pretty difficult places, right? But between Tokyo and Frankfurt lies both China and Russia. And so the pathway through there is actually quite difficult. So almost every public internet line that anyone uses to communicate between those actually goes through the ocean. And it's kind of unintuitive that it's easier to build a cable under the ocean than it is above land. But you don't have random people digging up their backyard in the internet. You do if you're running it over, the land. So all these cables, they go down basically through Singapore, and then they come up, and they usually, cross somewhere in the Middle East, and then they get into the Mediterranean, and then they come up through this little place in France called Marseille. And so that's actually the path that your data takes. And so if you look at a map, even if you're a flat earther, if you look at a map, it's still a very long circuitous route to actually get there. And so the public internet, this is the way that the data moves. And that doesn't matter at all if you're on a Zoom call or if you're, loading a webhook from Slack or something along those lines. what Double Zero has, and this is also the same thing that most of the high frequency trading firms have, is they actually have a line that goes through Russia and China direct. And so not only is this faster because it's not shared with a ton of other users, you're not getting into queues, right? Like we've all had that experience of like driving on the highway where like two-lane highways merge into 4 lanes, and you're like, there should be no reason this gets slower. But it always gets slower because anytime you have to merge a system, the system gets slower. But we actually have with Double Zero, one of our contributors contributes a 10 gig line that goes as direct as you can from Tokyo to Frankfurt. And that line is used almost exclusively for multicast data, but it means that we are cutting, the fastest sort of private network connection that goes from Tokyo to Frankfurt is about 220 milliseconds. The public internet's more like 350 to 400 milliseconds to sometimes much worse than that. And the line that goes, through Russia on Double Zero, is more like 150 milliseconds. So it's a substantial time improvement. When Solana has 400 millisecond block times, it's an improvement, right? But it's not necessarily like, it's not like every validator needs this type of thing to be able to operate. With Solana's goal of moving to 200 milliseconds and maybe even faster than that, there are real geographic limitations on using the public internet to try and talk between somewhere like Frankfurt and Tokyo.
Yeah, and those are huge numbers. We have clients, traders that, they're focusing on differences between services of less than a millisecond right now. And you're talking about hundreds of milliseconds, right?
Yeah.
And it's a dramatic difference and super important for anybody who's trading on Solana.
Yeah. In the traditional financial space, if you are able to cut 5 milliseconds off talking to an exchange, like, man, you can buy several Lambos with the bonus you're going to get from your boss at that point. Traditional finance is so well optimized for speed that they don't even use like fiber for most of their stuff anymore. It's all using extremely low data rate, extremely lossy, like it barely works type of stuff. Basically, like all of the R&D that went from the Cold War and the military is now sort of gone into high frequency trading from communications technology. So it's really, really impressive what these guys do. But crypto is so far behind today. And so if we really want crypto to be able to compete with traditional systems while also maintaining decentralization, we've got to get serious about the network layer and not just rely on the public internet or rely on 1 or 2 private infrastructure companies and say, oh, it's fine, we'll just run everything in Amazon or something like that. And I will say, to like the Solana Foundation's credit, like Jacob and Tim have been pushing a lot over the last, year to make sure that Solana is not too consolidated within just a few infrastructure providers as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Austin. I think, one of the biggest things that's like a takeaway from me on what you just said and kind of what we're doing at Double Zero is really trying to get people access to the same type of network that, traditional finance has used, NASDAQ, et cetera. And I think it's a really cool space to be in. And it's especially important for traders to just understand that aspect of it. I was going to ask about multicast, but I may save it for the end. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. And I may just pop us over to Brian real quick to start going into kind of what you guys are offering. I think there's a few foundational pieces I'd love to have you set for our audience today. Something that I didn't even know when I was working at Solana actually is about raw shreds and why that's important for traders and important for them to understand and essentially like what that will help them with when they're trying to win. And so I'd love for you to give just some foundational knowledge around shreds in general. And then I'd love for us to get into a little bit about the product itself, but maybe we start with that foundational aspect here first.
Yeah, it is important. And because it goes to how Solana works as a blockchain. And I think most people would be familiar that we have validators and that at any point in time, there's a single validator that is processing transactions. That's based on a leader schedule, and all the validators take turns according to the leader schedule. As they're processing transactions, they will then broadcast those transactions over the network, going out to other validators and then ultimately to RPC nodes on the other end. Each of those transactions goes out in a single network packet that we just call a shred. I won't dive into the technical construction of a shred and what it is. I think for this conversation, it's easy enough for us just to think of, okay, one transaction going out per shred. And then the journey of a shred is that it would go out to other validators who will then validate the transaction and the block before they vote. The journey also includes going out to RPC nodes that users and traders would use to receive the information about the new transaction. And in the beginning, that was kind of how it always looked for traders, is you would connect to an RPC node and then get your account updates that way. But there are certain types of trading where you can actually trade directly off of the shreds. And by doing that, you can take the RPC node out of the equation. And you probably can imagine in your head right now that will give a latency edge to any trader that is reacting off of the shreds, and they'd have an edge against any other trader who is reacting off of RPC only. And so with that, then the more sophisticated traders would navigate to just using shreds for certain bots. I think we can talk later about like the types of bots that shreds are good for, and some of the shortcomings as well. And but I think that's the way to think of shreds, and then trading off of shreds is really just to gain an edge through a latency advantage. 00 recognized that that journey for the shred going through the users was actually kind of slow going through the Solana Turbine protocol. And then so what they did is they worked directly with validators across the ecosystem. I believe now they have well over 2/3 of the stake, two-thirds of the validators on board to coalesce all of those shreds quickly to gain that latency edge. And that's why the 00 shred service is called 00 Edge. And then we're very happy at Triton then to partner with 00 to redistribute the shred service to our clients who are traders. So I hope that makes sense. That's kind of, a high level view of what a shred is and kind of the journey that a shred would take to get to an ultimate consumer.
Yeah, I love that framing. I think you started to get into what Triton One is offering, and I don't want to stop you there. I mean, if other people want to jump in for sure, but I would love for you to talk about shred streaming.
Yeah, so what we're doing again is connecting into 00 Edge to redistribute to our clients through our own multicast. And then we augment as well, since we also have our own validators. There's a little teeny tiny little edge that we can add on top of that because our validators are in our data center. But that we do also participate in DZ Edge. But everything is about latency, right? And less than 1 millisecond matters for a lot of clients. So just even that little teeny tiny bit can make a big difference. And so we offer the shred streaming service in addition to our other services like Yellowstone gRPC, and then just standard RPC services as well. And everything we've done, we've tuned and optimized and hyper optimized for latency for our traders.
Yeah, you were mentioning shred streaming, and I think I'd love for the viewers to understand a little bit of like what they get from that product. You also mentioned the teeny tiny edge, and I think what Austin has said to me before is doesn't matter if you're the smartest, you just got to be there first. And so that teeny tiny edge is important. And so I know that that's something that you're offering as part of this competition, and you're offering shred streaming free to anybody who's participating in the Green Candle Cup. And so could you walk through that a little bit and like what registration onboarding might look like for that product?
Yeah, pretty straightforward. There is an onboarding process. And the way that the Shred streams work is we push the stream to you. And so part of the onboarding process, the users will sign up, they'll get a free account. The Shred streams are free, as you mentioned, for the competition. So it's everybody's chance to try out trading based off of Shreds. And everybody should expect, though, to have ready the IP address that their trading bot lives on. And so they'll need the IP address and a port number in order for us to then push the Shreds out to them. And maybe one thing we haven't really touched on, but this competition is for automated trading only. And where previous competitions have been trading through a GUI and things like that, which are great. But now we're taking the competitions to the next level. It's all about your bots. It's all about automated trading. And so everybody should expect then to have a bot running somewhere that's accessible by through an IP address and a port number so that we can push the Shreds out to you.
Yeah, and I think anybody who's watching, we do have, our Telegram chats, as I mentioned at the top of this call. So if you're, needing that support while you're getting up and running, we're there to support you through this. And I know we've talked a lot about like the network and speed and things like that on this call, and these products that 00 and Triton One are offering. But I do want to take it up to maybe an even like higher level and kind of like strategic viewpoint of Solana and trading on Solana. So Seraphim, I'm coming to you next. With the Green Candle Cup, we're betting that people want to trade actively on Solana right now, and I just want to like understand, like based on what you're seeing in trading and TVL, what's that look like? What are people gravitating towards?
I guess bad news first, the TVO game is kind of dead a bit now because since the kelp attack. So that's going to come back eventually. But the real focus has been on trading now. Since we launched, Backpack and Sunrise launched tokenized stocks on Solana, it's been a massive success. We had SpaceX made like $1 billion in volume, and then they started rolling out lots of equities. I think even today, one of the top traded equity or token on Solana is actually SPY, Circle, SpaceX, Nvidia. So we have stocks on Solana is actually like still a banger, even though it's been months now. The second thing people want to trade is still meme coins. Like the market's kind of really bullish now, and there's lots of activity. Today is particularly lots of trading volume in Ansem, Trump, Farcoin, and anything affiliated to it, like Pump, for example. It's been a massive success so far. So yeah, it's actually funny. It's like a funny mix of really serious shit like stocks, and on the other side you got the meme coins, and it's all kind of beautifully on one blockchain. So people love trading that. People love trading perps as well. There's like volumes have been ranking up, but I do think the best is yet to come. I think by the end of the year, once Phoenix starts rolling out more equities and more indices, there's going to be more volume. But so far on spot side, I think we are better than centralized exchanges in many regards in terms of liquidity, top of book. So that's something to be proud of. You can actually get like a SEX-like experience and execution combined with the Frontier program, which is basically like a little bit like a rebate program. If you trade on Solana in specific tokens, you're going to get certain rewards back, and we might take you on a ride to, I don't know, on a Lambo, get you some tickets to some football game. It basically starts to become like a decentralized, centralized like exchange experience. So yeah, something to be really proud of, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate your viewpoint of like what's currently happening with trading. But if there's other people on the call, what do you think?
So I'm actually super curious, because like this is a thing that you've seen in the traditional exchange space for a while. Like I don't know, like I think a Gate sponsored an F1 car for a while. You saw Crypto.com of a bunch of this stuff. Like I'm really curious from like a strategy perspective. This is like just me going off on a sidebar here. Like, what was that process like at the Solana Foundation to sort of be like, hey, we need to like, obviously Solana is not a centralized exchange, but maybe we need to like offer some of the stuff a centralized exchange typically offers?
Yeah, I mean, we have a big treasury, as everyone knows, and we thought, I mean, if there's one useful thing we can do with it, we can probably make people happy, and that's what we're here for, you know. And I think the rebates, obviously, kind of the main lever. That's kind of what a lot of the campaigns are about. But you have to build these relationships with top takers and top makers. With top makers, we already know everyone pretty much because it's a very concentrated list. When it comes to top takers, it's a kind of a different game. You have to talk to KOLs and people in Korea who have 10,000 followers on Telegram, and they basically just translate what's going on Twitter to the local population, build relationships with these guys. I don't know, get them on a Rolls Royce, take them to dinner, have fun. You know, it's kind of what people used to do in the 80s. We're supposed to do that now, and I think that's kind of always been a good business strategy. Just making people feel special, I guess. I think it's kind of like Wall Street 101, I think.
I've got a question. You said that users would get a sex-like experience. Were you talking about centralized exchanges or something else?
Well, I mean, they're not paying me enough to get people off. But if I have to, I'll do it.
Well, we know Solana's pretty damn awesome, but maybe not. You know, maybe not that.
Yeah,
awesome.
they're sending me to Korea to jerk people off. Sure.
No.
That's what they're sending me for. Helicopter me down there.
We've devolved, folks. We've devolved.
And thanks to 00, it's faster than ever before.
Is that a good thing?
All right, back on topic.
Okay.
Brian, I was wondering, did you have a real question, or was it?
No, that was the question.
Got it. Cool.
Thank you, Mr. Long, for this. This is great.
I love it. Okay. So I'm gonna wrap it there. We are over time at this point, but as mentioned before, we've got a lot of resources for you. Triton One has been putting together a whole, I guess, kit of resources for folks who are wanting to get involved and onboard and really participate and show up and show out on this competition. And so jump in, register. We'll help you get onboarded if you get stuck. But we are excited to see what folks do and how they use these products and how they make money and win. And so I think we're excited to see you guys prosper out there, and we're here to support as we go. One more time, I want to go over a few of the important dates. Let me get this back up on screen. There we go. So obviously registration has opened today. You're on the live stream right now. We've got office hours starting tomorrow. Trading competition actually begins September 1st. We've got more office hours, and then we close that competition on the 8th. $50,000 worth of prizes, 2 leaderboards, and hopefully a whole lot of fun and learning. But if you guys join the Telegram group, you can stay up to date with announcements, and that's also a good spot to get support. But I want to thank all the legends on the call today. Let me stop sharing my screen. Appreciate the dad jokes that were also made towards the end of the call. But we're excited, and we hope you are too. So thank you guys for joining, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks all. Thanks everybody. Bye.
Bye, y'all.